Tato katoa. Our civic commemoration service will start in 5. Oh, we need that one, Emma. Yeah, thank you. This one, yeah.
Great job, Emma.
Hi, bud. You come up here. It's 11:30.
Anō reira kia whai korore hararuia ki te atu i runga rawa o tira kia tau mai tōna rangi Māori e ki runga ki a tātou. E te whānau, tēnei mātou ka inui atu nei ki te atua kia tau mai ona manaakitanga huhua ki runga ki a tātou, kua whakarauika mai nei tēnei rā, ki te tukuina whakaaro mena whakawhetai ki te atua mō tēnei rangi. Mō tēnei rangi o te maumaharatanga o te wā, o te huripari o Kapariera. Nō reira e te whānau, tēnei ka mihi ake. Whānau, as we begin our opening kareke, can you please turn to one another and say, I love you.
I love you.
I love you. Love you guys. Kia ora whānau. Well, I all love you all as well. We all love each other. Hawke's Bay, here taunga. It's that love which has brought us this far. So I pray that that love continues to rest upon us all this day as we come together to commemorate the cyclone, and of course to pay our respects to all those who we have lost, for all our material items we have lost, but of course look to the amazing response and recovery that we have seen through that love be undertaken. So te whānau, may that love rest upon you all. Nō reira, kia inoi tātou. E te atu e tō mātou matua nui te rangi, tēnei mātou ka inoi atu nei ki a koe i tēnei wā. E ihoa whakatata mai ki a mātou i tēnei rangi, o tirārahina mātou i roto i tēnei hui. I roto i tēnei hui ki te maumahara i tērā āwha nui, i tērā waipuke nui o kapariera. Nō reira ihoa whakakahingi a mātou mo te roanga o tēnei hui, o tira mo te roanga o tēnei rā anō hoki. Nō reira e ihoa tuhungi a mātou, e te karaiti tuhungi a mātou, e ihoa tuhungi a mātou. E tō mātou matua i te rangi, kia tapu tau ingoa, kia tae mai tō rangatiratanga, kia mea tia tau e pai ai ki runga ki te whenua, kia rite anō ki tō te rangi. Ho mai kia mātou aia nei he taromo mātou mō tēnei rā, murua o mātou hara, me mātou hoki e muru nei o te hunga e harana kia mātou. Aua hoki mātou e kawea kia whakawaia, engari whakorangi a mātou i te kino. Nō hoki te rangatiratanga, te kaha me te kororia, ake, āmeni. Nō reira kia tau tonu mai nā tini manaakitanga ki runga kia tātou. Whānau, I'd now like to invite our hokarere, our kōhine, to come and to sing our himene, which is Whakaaria Mai. Haere mai.
E tū koutou.
Ahoe no kia ora tātou katoa ko hui mai nei ki te pukapua he taunga. Anau mai haere mai. E te pāwhakawairua. E te kaituku whakaaro ki te wāhingaro. Ai tēnei ata zai tēnā koe. Tēnā koe i o Karakia. Kia tūwhera pai tēnei huinga tātou tēnei rā. Kia ki ai te kōrero ko te amorangi ki mua, ko te hāpai o ki muri. Hoi no, tikana kia mihi a ngā mate, koutou te hunga kua riro i te wā o Huripari Kapereira. Koutou kua ngaro nei te tirohanga kanohi. Haere. Haere atu rā, ki o tātou tupuna e whanganei ki tua te ārai. Kia tūtaki atu, kia tūtaki wairu atu kia rātou mā kua mene ki te pō. Nō reira, koutou kua huri kanohi atu, kua huri tuara mai. Haere, haere atu rā. Ka hoki kia tātou te hunga ora, kua taupai mai nei ki tēnei wāhi o here taunga hauku nui ararau, haro te kāhu, anei e mihi atu nei kia koutou nau mai, haere mai, piki mai, kake mai. E mihi ana ki ngā rangatira katoa, e noho mai nei ki te pai. E te minita Mark, tēnā koe, Mark Mitchell, haere mai. Catherine, local MP, tuki, tēnā koe. Tō tātou nei koro matua, me Sandra, tēnā koe. Police Commissioner Andrew Costa, tēnā koe koutou, kua haere mai nei tēnei rā, me ngā kaikauni hera, ngā rangatira katoa kua tatu mai nei i tēnei wā. Kia ora whānau, my name is Baden Barber, the chair of Ngāti Kahungunu Iwi. Just want to acknowledge the families of those that were lost in Cyclone Gabrielle. Sandra informs me there was a service this morning, and I reira tangi ai o tātou tini aitua mate rātou kua ringa, kua hinga mai, kua hinga atu. So just want to acknowledge the whānau pani that have come along today. But everyone here today, nau mai haere mai. Welcome to the Pukapu o Here Taunga, the centre of Here Taunga. And to my right, to your left, stand ngā pau o Here Taunga. The pau are all of the chiefs that connect to every marae in Here Taunga. So all of our marae are here, all of our rangatira are here, and on behalf of all of them, I welcome you here today. It's been a year, ko tahi te tau kua hipa nei, mai te pātanga nui o Huripari Gabrielle. It's been a year since Cyclone Gabrielle devastated our community. And it's great to see all the faces of those that have been part of the rebuild, the response, and I guess the reunification of Here Taunga, Ngāti Kahungunu. I was at a service at Omahu, and our whanaunga Zane took that service this morning at Omahu Marae, and I think the key message a year on from the cyclone hitting was unity and kotahitanga. Kotahitanga is about all of us coming together. We know the last year has been a challenge, and this year is going to be a challenge, and next year is going to be a challenge. But coming together, what we saw with the Huripari was the coming together of communities, Māori, Pākehā, Iwi, Hapu, Marae, communities just coming together to help and support each other. And as Zane mentioned, ko te mea nui, ko te aroha. And aroha, he mea ngā wari te kōrero, he, aroha au ki a koe, I love you. But to put into practice, he mea ua. However, we saw that practice during the Huripari, and this morning at Omahu we heard from whānau that we're in the midst of it all. Flood waters up to here, standing on tables, standing on roofs, but we had people reaching out, neighbours that probably hadn't had too much to do with in the past, coming through and saving one another. So, ko te mea aroha, I think it's a mātā pono that will see us through, not only the challenge of Cyclone Gabrielle, but all of the challenges that are in front of us, and we have many. Te iwi Māori, Ngāti Kahungunu, we've got a few challenges in front of us, and we need to come together. But we need to come together as a wider community, because it's all about our tamariki mokopuna. We had Hukarere come up and sing our himene today. And when you see the faces of our wahine, our kohine, that's who we're working for. We're working for te apopotanga for today and the tomorrow, our future generations. And so we've got a big mahi. And it's going to take our politicians, it's going to take our mayor and our councillors, it's going to take iwi, hapu marae, it's going to take community, it's going to take our schools to really come together to drive this forward. And so from a Ngāti Kahungunu perspective, koira pēr taku kōrero nui kia tātou i tēnei rā, is about how can we come together, how can we come together as neighbours, how can we come together as community with all the challenges that we have in front of us. Gabrielle was the first test, but there will be many other tests, and ko te whakamātautau nui, kei mui a tātou, the big test in front of us is how we collectively can come together to face those challenges. So, koira pēr taku kōrero nei kia tātou. I just want to acknowledge everyone that's come today. I want to acknowledge all of our marae. We have 23 marae that whakapapatu heretaunga. Each one of them have poured out their heart and souls to support our whanaunga, Māori, Pākehā, all of the community. And so while we're standing here next to our pou and our rangatira, it's an important message of kotahitanga. They stand there together, we stand here together. Our waiata, we won't sing it after my kōrero, we'll sing it after Sandra's kōrero, is tūtira mai ngā iwi, stand together as one people, kia tapatahi, working together, kia kotahi rā, as one, tātou e, together, huri no tēnā koutou, tēnā hui tātou katoa.
Ko te amarangi ki mua, ko te hapai o ki muri te tuturutanga mahi pono te Māori mana motu hake mango pare amohia o te wakataki timu hei whakakuiti tanga ki te ngā e te huata hopokia e te manuka tomokia e kore ngaro te kakano irui a maira irangi a te a e toku hine ngaro ano he waka ana mai ki ngā raumuri muri aroha kia hora te marino kia papapauna mute moana kia te rete ka rohi ko te atua te kupu tuatahi ko te atua te kupu whakamutunga kia whakapainga te ingoa o ihoa whaia te iti kahurangi o te wakatagi tumu. Tēnā rā koutou anō. Ko tōku ingoa ko te are Ropitini. My name is Charles Ropitini, and I am your Master of Ceremonies, guiding us through the Civic Commemoration Service, he whakamaharatanga ki te huripari kaperiere. Today's service is officiated by the Reverend Zane Tahoe-Whalen, Chaplain of the Bishop of Aotearoa, and priest for St. John the Evangelist at Omahu. Presiding over our service is Her Worship the Mayor of Heretaunga, Hastings, Sandra Hazelhurst. Tēnā korua. On behalf of us all, our thanks to Baden Barber, Chairperson of Ngāti Kahungunu Iwi Incorporated, for welcoming us all here to this whenua, and for his opening address on behalf of Ngāti Kahungunu Whānau Whānui. Tēnā koe Baden, koutou e aku whanaunga mā o Ngāti Kahungunu, tēnā rā koutou katoa. I now invite Her Worship the Mayor, Sandra Hazelhurst, to give the mayoral address. And yes, we will sing Tu Tira Mai Ngā Iwi, and we will sing that together at the very end of our service.
Tēnā koutou katoa, nau mai, haere mai, aroha mai e te whānau. Mōrena tātou, good morning everyone. How lovely the sun is shining for us today. Tēnā koe our kaumātua Papa Jerry, tēnā koe to Baden, our chair of Ngāti Kahanunu. A very, very warm welcome to Honourable Mark Mitchell, Minister of Emergency and Management and Recovery. It's wonderful to have you with us. A very warm welcome to Catherine Wedd, MP for Tukituki, Police Commissioner Andrew Costa, Reverend Zane Whelan and Reverend David Van Overend, representatives of all emergency services, our councillors from Hastings District Council and the Hawke's Bay Regional Council, and our Rural Community Board representatives. And most importantly, the whānau of those who lost loved ones through Cyclone Gabrielle. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Thank you for joining us today to acknowledge the first anniversary of Cyclone Gabrielle, the most devastating weather event our region's people has ever faced. Today, we remember those who lost their loved ones, and we met you this morning, the whānau. Those who lost their homes and their property. And last night, we met people who lost their livelihoods through the extreme hardship faced by so many. Around 4 a.m. on the morning of 14th of February, after a night of gale-force winds and the highest rainfall ever recorded in our region, Hastings and Napier mayors declared a state of emergency. Daylight revealed the severity of the cyclone's impact. By 8 a.m, a national state of emergency was declared, for only the third time in Aotearoa New Zealand's history. Rivers and streams had burst their banks, bridges had collapsed, roads had slipped away and were impassable. Families were stranded, in desperate need of rescue. Hundreds of families were without food, without water, without power, and without communications. And our hearts go out to our people today who suffered terrifying trauma and stress that morning following the days, weeks, and months. Today we remember and acknowledge with gratitude the courage and the bravery of our New Zealand Fire and Emergency Service, Police, Civil Defence, National Emergency Management Agency, the New Zealand Defence Force, Surf Life Saving, Volunteer Search and Rescue, our helicopter pilots, our local people who used whatever means they had to save the lives of so many. The destruction from Cyclone Gabrielle in those first weeks was overwhelming. Access was cut off to 30 communities. 16 bridges had collapsed and 26 were badly damaged. 104 kilometres of roads were destroyed or rendered impassable, and hundreds of culverts were destroyed or blocked. Communication infrastructure was taken out, making it impossible for anxious family members to find out if their loved ones were safe. Power was out for many days, and lots of our families and communities who were anxious at not being able to connect and check in on family. And one day I talked to our police team. There were 4,500 people registered on their list trying to track down if they were safe. Hundreds of whānau were displaced from their homes. Evacuation centres and community hubs were set up in council facilities, school halls, maraes, and I will always remember greeting our people arriving at the evacuation centre in their wet clothing. Hastings and Flaxmere received 1,900 people at their peak, and for weeks after, the community hubs distributed food and supplies to those in need. Civil Defence set up the distribution hub at Tawana Showgrounds to collect and coordinate the transportation of supplies to our isolated communities. I wish to acknowledge the incredible efforts of thousands of volunteers who worked in our distribution hubs, who prepared rescue packs, who cooked and delivered tons of food, who looked after pets, who cleared tons of silt and debris from homes, from Urapa, from marae, during the days, weeks and months that followed the cyclone. Everyone in our region united to help those in need. The cyclone deposited more than 3 million cubic metres of silt and debris across the region. It damaged 4,000 hectares of productive land, destroyed crops, vineyards and orchards, and wiped out produce and crops almost ready for harvest. The estimated loss to our region's economy was $1.4 billion. Our pastoral farming community suffered severe landslips, losing fences, dams, as well as having to cope with the damaged roads and the smashed property access ways. On top of that, they had to navigate the enormous challenge of moving stock from farm to town. Access region-wide was a challenge for our people who faced long days as our roading network was temporarily repaired and rebuilt, and we're still doing that today. For most of our impacted communities in those first few weeks and months, people needed answers to problems and quick solutions. Community meetings were set up in hubs, schools and maraes to share information. And can I acknowledge and thank all of you that worked tirelessly at that time. I wish to acknowledge the contribution of our government partners, Unison team, our council teams, our community leaders who supported those meetings as the recovery unfolded. With more than 1,000 homes damaged, our first priority was to collect tens of thousands of tonnes of damaged household goods. Then the urgent need to clear silt and debris from orchards and vineyards to save our productive crops. 1 year on, together we have achieved so much. We have cleared more than half of the silt and debris. We have built 10 temporary bridges, started rebuilding 2 permanent bridges, and repaired many kilometres of roading. But there is years of investment needed to fully fix 1,600 kilometres of damaged rural roads. I wish to acknowledge the hundreds and thousands of infrastructure workers, engineers, community and health workers, council officers and volunteers who have worked tirelessly over the past year to care for our people and rebuild our beautiful region. Although we have come a long way, we have still a way to go, with some significant challenges ahead of us. But we know with time and resources we can rebuild our infrastructure, our roads, our bridges and our economy. But it is today that we think about our people who are still facing the overwhelming task of moving on with their lives. Today I particularly want to acknowledge those who lost their loved ones and continuing the hardship for those people and families who are dealing with an uncertain future, along with the ever-present post-cyclone stress many of our families are still facing. Thank you for coming today, both to the most affected from the cyclone and members of our community who are standing firm and supporting everyone. As we work through many more months and years of recovery, I'm so pleased to see so many people wearing their black and white, our region's colours, as a sign of solidarity to support each other. While the memories of Cyclone Gabrielle still roar, day by day through our resilience, our togetherness and our selfless caring for each other, I know our community, united, we will get through the other side of this traumatic event. Today I drove through the beautiful area of Whakatū, Clive, coming back from Napier. And I saw the harvest of the squash in the paddocks, and the sun was shining. Kia kaha. Ngā mihi nui. Nō reira. Tēnā koutou katoa.
That's why you're our mayor.
Could I please call forward our religious leaders who will be leading us in our prayers? Sukti Paramai. Enoho. We have now come to the solemnity of our service, where prayers of the faithful will be offered by our Hastings religious leaders, following a moment of silence, where at 1200 hours our Hastings town clock will toll the Westminster chimes, at which we will stand for a minute's silence. Leading our prayers after that silence and the roll of honour is Reverend Sunita Nua from the Congregation Christian Church of Samoa, Ecclesia Whaapotopototonga Kresiano Samoa, Sukhdeep Singh Khaira from the Gurdwara Sahib Sikh Temple Hastings, Misbah Abdullah from the Hastings Mosque, Shanti Prasad Raturi from the Hindu Council Hawke's Bay, and the Venerable David Van Overing from the Anglican Parish of Greater Hastings. Kia tau te rangi Maria kia koutou, peace be with you all. Ambassador of Hastings, Henare O'Keefe, will now read the roll of honour. The bell will toll when you're finished. Okay.
I didn't have the privilege of meeting any of your family members, but I pray that every time I utter their name that it's done genuinely and with love and compassion. Thank you for the privilege.
You too.
I think I'm the most privileged person here. Our first name, Brendan Lewis Miller from Matapiro. Craig Paul Stevens from Muriwai. David Van Swanenberg from Muriwai. George Hori Charles Luke from Hawera. Helen Street from Onekawa. Ian McLaughlin from Waiohiki. Ivy Collins from Whirinaki. John Robert Dudley Coates from Gisborne. Marie Enid Green Nee Coleman from Puketapu. Shona Leslie Wilson from Tutira. And finally, Susan Cassiopouli from Taradale. I salute you all.
Tātou te talo I le atua. Le atua silisili e se lo mātou tamā e whaavavau. O le atua o le lalolangi o lanu mangangana. O le vi inga ma le whaafetai I la uafio I le nei tu aso. A wā ua poto poto. E nei tu malo e mana tuai. Mea na tutupu e maise o le whaalinga o lo silisili ese. Mātou whaafetai a wā ua oso le la o le tae au fou. Ma ua mātou vaaianga luenga mamana la ua fio. Ia fo I lo lava vi inga e le au noa lo mātou watua o le tatalo. E manatua I la tau wa maliliu ia iai le wha mawhanawhananga la ua fio. Ia mawha au au pea manuia I si o mātou I tū mālo nei. Ia anga le lei fo I fuafuanga o tutoe. Ma le wha manatunga o le nei aso tāua. E vi ia lo suafa o no Yesu. Amene.
Amen.
Tēnā koutou, kia ora mai tātou katoa. Ko Misbah Abdullah ahonu ahuriri he kānuhi no te Islamic community. Ke kone ahui mua ia koutou I tēnei rā ki te tuku karakia mō ngā tuahuatanga whaiamuri I ngā karawhiunga o Cyclone Gabrielle, wai o huki mō ngā tangata kua riro atu ki te poi I tēnei parakura. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Allahumma jarni fi musibati wa akhlif li khayran minha. We belong to Allah and to Him we shall return. O Allah, compensate me in my affliction, recompense my loss, and give me something better in exchange for it. Alhamdulillah. Amin ya Rabbal Alameen. Kia kaha, kia maya, kia mana wanui. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ। ਅੱਜ ਆਪਾਂ ਨੂੰ 1 ਸਾਲ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ ਜਦੋਂ ਸਾਈਕਲੋਨ ਗੈਬਰੀਅਲ ਆਇਆ ਤੇ ਅੱਜ ਸਵੇਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਜਦੋਂ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰਾ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਸੇ ਉੱਥੇ ਅੱਜ ਅਰਦਾਸ ਹੋਈ ਦੋਨੇ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰਿਆਂ ਸਾਹਿਬ 'ਚ ਤੇ ਅੱਜ ਵੀ ਉਹ ਦਿਨ ਯਾਦ ਹੈ ਜਦੋਂ ਸਵੇਰ 7 ਵਜੇ ਤੋਂ 8 ਵਜੇ ਦੇ ਕੋਲ ਅਸੀਂ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰਾ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਵਿੱਚ ਸੀ ਹੇਸਟਿੰਗ ਤੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਫੂਡ ਪ੍ਰਿਪੇਅਰ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਸਾਈਕਲੋਨਸ ਤੇ ਜੋ ਆਪਣੇ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਨੂੰ ਸਪੋਰਟ ਕਰ ਸਕੀਏ ਤੇ ਅੱਜ ਵੀ ਉਹ ਦਿਨ ਯਾਦ ਹੈ। ਅੱਜ ਸਵੇਰ ਜਦੋਂ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰਾ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਅਸੀਂ ਅਰਦਾਸ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਸੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਸਤਨਾਮ ਸਭ ਨੂੰ ਆਹੀ ਕਹਿ ਰਿਹਾ ਸੀ ਪ੍ਰਮਾਤਮਾ ਨੂੰ ਕਿ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਹਮੇਸ਼ਾ ਇਕੱਠੇ ਰੱਖਣਾ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਸਪੋਰਟ ਕਰਦੇ ਰਹਿਣਾ ਤੇ ਜਦੋਂ ਵੀ ਆਫਤ ਆਉਂਦੀ ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੀ ਪੂਰੀ ਦੁਨੀਆ ਵਿੱਚ ਅਸੀਂ ਹਮੇਸ਼ਾ ਸਾਡੀ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਅੱਗੇ ਹੋ ਕੇ ਮੋਢੇ ਨਾਲ ਮੋਢਾ ਲਾ ਕੇ ਹਮੇਸ਼ਾ ਸਪੋਰਟ ਕਰਦੀ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਸਪੋਰਟ ਕਰਦੀ ਰਹੂਗੀ। ਜੋ ਵੀ ਨੁਕਸਾਨ ਹੋਇਆ ਜੋ ਲਾਈਫਸ ਆਪਾਂ ਲੋਸਟ ਕੀਤੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਉਹੀ ਪ੍ਰਮਾਤਮਾ ਬੇਨਤੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਸਭ ਨੂੰ ਸ਼ਾਂਤੀ ਮਿਲੇ ਤੇ ਹਮੇਸ਼ਾ ਆਪਾਂ ਆ ਨਹੀਂ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਕਿ ਇਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਹਾਲਾਤ ਦੇਖਣੇ ਪੈਣ ਅੱਗੇ ਤੇ ਇਹੀ ਪ੍ਰਮਾਤਮਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਨੂੰ ਬੇਨਤੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਹਮੇਸ਼ਾ ਅੱਜ ਵੀ ਸਵੇਰ ਕੀਤੀ ਦੋਨੇ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰਿਆਂ 'ਚ ਅਰਦਾਸ ਕਿ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਦੂਰ ਰੱਖੇ ਆਹ ਚੀਜ਼ਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਤੇ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਸਾਥ ਰੱਖੀ ਤੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਇਸੇ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਪਿਆਰ ਤੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਸਪੋਰਟ ਕਰਦੇ ਰਹੀਏ ਇੱਕ ਦੂਜੇ ਨਾਲ ਮੋਢਾ ਦਾ ਮੋਢਾ ਲਾ ਕੇ। ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ।
हाँ, नमस्कार सभी लोगों को। मेरा नाम शांति प्रसाद रतूड़ी है। मैं हिंदू कौंसिल की तरफ से आया हूँ और मैं प्रार्थना करता हूँ भगवान उन सभी दिवंगत आत्मा को शांति प्रदान करें और हमारे इस देश में खुशहाली बनी रहे। ऐसी कामना करता हूँ और उनके लिए मैं प्रार्थना करता हूँ। ॐ ध्येयं सदा परिभवग्नमभीष्टदोहम् तीर्थास्पदं शिवविरञ्चिनुतं शरण्यम् वृद्धार्थिहं प्रणतपालभवाब्धिपूतम् वन्दे महापुरुषते चरणारविन्दम् योऽन्तः प्रविश्य मम वाचमिमां प्रसुप्ताम् सञ्जीवयत्रिखिलशक्तिधरस्वधाम्नौ अन्यास्तहस्तचरणश्रवणात्वगादीन् प्राणान्नमो भगवते पुरुषाय तुभ्यम् सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत्। ॐ द्योः शान्तिरन्तरिक्षगं शान्तिः पृथिवी शान्तिरापः शान्तिरोषधयः शान्तिः वनस्पतयः शान्तिर्विश्वे देवाः शान्तिषु शान्तिर्भवतु। ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः सुशान्तिर्भवतु सर्वा अरिष्ट शान्तिर्भवतु।
God, our help in the past and our hope for the future. You have created us and given us life. Blessed are you, God of the planet Earth. Blessed are you, God of Tamatua Maui, Hawke's Bay, and all the peoples who live here, and all the lessons that we have learned, and all that remains for us to do. Blessed are you because you need us, because you make us worthwhile, because you give us people to love and work to do for our communities. Amen.
Your worship, please make the way to the room. Take David with you. Aye. Those that are laying wreaths are invited to reverently make their way to the wreaths tables and await to be called forward to lay your wreath. The fountain before us today was dedicated on 13 June 1974 to commemorate 50 years of Rotary in Hastings between 1924 and 1974. A plaque at the base of the fountain carries the words, "Service above self." These wreaths are laid in remembrance of those who died and as a tribute to those who placed service above self. The wreaths will be laid with musical accompaniment provided by the Hawke's Bay piper, Karen Chisnell, who will lament as the wreath bearers are called forward. You may start now, Karen. Mayor Sandra Hazelhurst and Kaumatua Jerry Hapuku, member of the New Zealand Order of Merit, on behalf of the District of Heretaunga, Hastings. Takitimu Ward Councillors Anna Apatu and Kelly Jessup, on behalf of Tangata Whenua, with apologies from Mike Paku, Chairperson of the Heretaunga Takotonoa Committee. Bowen Steffert and Millie Petrie of Te Kauni Hera Taiohi o Here Taunga, the Hastings Youth Council, on behalf of the youth of Hastings Here Taunga. Jonathan Stockley and Isabel Crawshaw, of the Rural Community Board, on behalf of the rural communities of Here Taunga, Hastings. Baden Barber, Chairperson for Ngāti Kahungunu Iwi Incorporated, on behalf of Ngāti Kahungunu Whānau Whānui. The Reverend Sunita Nua, on behalf of Tangata Moana. Councillors Zan Harding, Sophie Sears and Jock McIntosh, on behalf of Te Kauni Hera o Te Matau a Maui, Hawke's Bay Regional Council. The Honourable Mark Mitchell, Minister for Emergency Management and Recovery, and Catherine Wedd, Member of Parliament for the Tukituki electorate, on behalf of Te Kāwanatanga o Aotearoa me te Waipounamu, the New Zealand Government. Ian MacDonald, on behalf of Hawke's Bay Civil Defence Emergency Management. Superintendent Jeanette Park, on behalf of the Eastern Police District. Assistant Commander Jason Hill, on behalf of Fire and Emergency Aotearoa, New Zealand. Area Operations Manager James Lovey, on behalf of the Order of St John's Ambulance. Chief Executive Officer Andy Quayle, on behalf of the Hawke's Bay Rescue Helicopter Trust. Dr. Robin Wyman, Kaumātua Hawira Hape, and Paula Jones, on behalf of Te Whatu Ora o Te Matau a Maui, Hawke's Bay. Chief Executive Officer Callum Ross, on behalf of the Hawke's Bay Fruit Growers Association. Chief Executive Officer Karen Morrish, on behalf of New Zealand Apples and Pears Incorporated. Principal Amy Britton and the girls, on behalf of Hukarere College. Master Joel Wilton of Havelock North High School and Principal Patrice O'Connor and pupils from Tamata Primary School, on behalf of Karanema Havelock North. Rizwana Latif, on behalf of Te Kāhui Kanoro o Te Matau a Maui, the Hawke's Bay Multicultural Association. Sukhdeep Singh Kaira, on behalf of the Sikh community of Hastings. Michael Ngahuka, on behalf of Man Up Relief and Iwi Tapu. Mary Moore, on behalf of Neighbourhood Support. The girls from Iona College, on behalf of Iona College. And Resource, laying a wreath on behalf of Resource. Jess Bennett, on behalf of Surf Life Saving New Zealand. This morning, a private remembrance service was hosted by the Mayor alongside Mayor Kirsten Weiss of Napier, with the families of those who we remember today, where they signed their own messages on 2 wreaths. These 2 wreaths will now be laid on behalf of Te Whānau Pani, the bereaved loved ones. Please stand for the laying of these last 2 wreaths. E te ari ki hoatu ki a rātou te oki o ki ngā tonutanga, kia whiti ki a rātou te marama mutunga kore, Amine. Eternal rest grant unto them, O Lord, and let perpetual light shine on them forever. Ki te ingoa te matua me te tamaiti me te wairu a tapu, Amine. Please be seated. Cyclone Gabrielle had a devastating effect on Hukarere College based at Herepoho-esque Valley. Continuing with our service today, we now invite the girls to come forward to share the story of their college and their triumph over adversity with the relocation to Karanema, Havelock North. While the girls are coming up following Hukarere College, we will hear from the pupils of Omahu School, who will share with us their waiata from the cyclone. If Omahu would like to please come forward to be at the side of the stage following the girls from Hukarere College.
Kia ora tātou. Our 2023 head girl said in her final speech at last year's prize giving that the cyclone and resultant flooding is now water under the bridge, through the bridge and with the bridge. She said it in a way that gave us hope, that made us believe in 2024. Hukarere girls are a fine example of how powerful it is to locate yourselves through whakapapa, reverence and dedication. Little bit of background on Hukarere. It is a state integrated school with a special character determined by our rangatiratanga, our affiliation with Te Hahi Mihinare and our 24-hour learning environment. We are guided by Te Oranga Ake o Te Iwi. Human flourishing is a life of love, lived for the sake of peace and realizing true joy. 149 years on, 2 fires, few floods, a cyclone, and the sun continues to shine on these beautiful young people. A year ago, and for the many months that followed, our whānau whānui, our hahi, iwi, hapu, hostel staff, teachers, old girls, and supporters wrapped around us, embodying Te Oranga Ake o Te Iwi, ensuring our safety and care. He aroha mutuna kore. We have been through it, yet a year on, our girls are living in our whare noho at Arataki Road, Karanema, and will be learning at our whare kura on Napier Road, Karanema. We are 6 days into our Hukarere pilgrimage as we journey through Here Taonga, learning and continuing to locate ourselves as we weave and are woven into the fabric of our new home so that we may move forward together and as one. Hukarere kia u ki te pai.
Omahu School employed the power of waiata as means of recovery for the school community, with a waiata composed by the then principal, Te Kewana White, who wrote the waiata as a mihi to those who supported Te Matau a Maui, Hawke's Bay during the cyclone relief efforts. The waiata of both thanks and grief was sung as a collective of 15 local schools that gathered together in Flaxmere on September the 21st to unite in celebration for the future. We will now hear from Omahu School and their waiata, which is titled Cyclone Gabrielle.
And then the big wind space. Across at the back of Omahu on the way to the side, I think. Play up your road. Okay. I'm just about finished. Okay, so from our houses we could see the lightning that was happening above over at Kawera. You won't know where Kawera is, but yeah. And then from that, and then the water came down and everything changed. So that's the story. Kia ora. It's been a while since we've sung this song. They only told us that we were going to do this about half an hour ago, so just kidding. at the end of last year in September, October, around there, our school had we were at Irongate School. Irongate School were kind of like, they were the school that, along with a few of the other schools, that asked us to come because our school was destroyed. So on that day, about 27 schools came, and we sang the song because the principal went around to the different schools and taught them the song. It was a privilege to have that happen. Kia ora, everybody.
Tēnā koutou o Mahu. Please have one more waiata. Utaino o mahu tēnā rā koutou katoa. E tirito e hohepa tēnā koe he pai tō whānau e tūmai nei ki runga o Karamoon nei. Tēnā rā koe, tēnā koutou katoa. The motto for Heretaunga Hastings is Urbis et Ruris Concordia, urban and rural in harmony, a symbolic reference to the fortunes of our district being intrinsically linked with town and country. It is our rural communities that are impacted most by Cyclone Gabrielle, and to speak on their behalf now is Rural Community Board member Izzy Crawshaw.
Tēnā koutou katoa, ko Isabel tuku ingoa, ko pātoka aho. It's a privilege to be asked to speak today at such an important occasion as a Rural Community Board member, Community Hub representative, but most importantly, as a farmer of one of our incredible rural communities in our Heretaunga district. Firstly, I just want to acknowledge and pay my condolences to the families that lost loved ones. They lost their pets, their homes, businesses and livelihoods. And all of those that were deeply affected by Cyclone Gabrielle. My thoughts and prayers are with you as we commemorate 1 year on. I can't even read my paper. When light came over the district on the 14th of February 2023, we had lost both our Dartmoor and Risington Bridge, which left our communities of Dartmoor, Risington, Pātoka and Puketitiri without any access and fully isolated. Our communities were without power for just under 3 weeks and no access into town for 2 months, and it was an extremely challenging time for many. With a lack of communication ability, it was difficult to respond, but within a few days, hubs were established in each of the areas, and priorities were life-saving medicine for the ill and immunocompromised, formula so that parents could feed their babies, generators so that farmers could get water to their stock and families could keep their chillers cold, and fuel to keep those generators going and to fuel the tractors and diggers that the local communities and farmers were on to get out and clear the roads so that we could reconnect our community one neighbour at a time. For a lot of us, the cyclone pushed us to mental, emotional and physical exhaustion that we didn't know existed. But sometimes out of adversity becomes greatness. And the greatness was the strength and camaraderie of our rural communities. He tangata, he tangata, he tangata. It's the people, it's the people, it's the people. As we look back and reflect 1 year on, we are extremely grateful to the businesses, friends, whānau and complete strangers that worked tirelessly to get resources into our communities, that chartered planes and helicopters to fly in medication, food, fuel, nappies, formula, household supplies and even the odd alcoholic beverage. We could never put into words what this support and the letters that came with them meant to us all, so thank you. Our community sent over 100 thank you cards back to those that we could find addresses and contact information for, and there were many, many more. There are too many businesses, and we don't have enough time to thank them all today, but there are a handful I would like to highlight given the opportunity. Although the system was overwhelmed at times, we do want to sincerely thank the individuals, volunteers and hub liaisons that were working overtime in the CEDM centres to get us the support that we needed. Thank you to Ngāti Kahanunu, Baden, your team in Wairawhānau for the level of support provided to our communities, to the Rural Response Team at Hastings District Council and the Hawke's Bay Rural Advisory Group for understanding and fighting for the specific needs of our rural communities, New Zealand SAR teams that were dispatched to relieve volunteer burnout and fatigue, which was huge, the Fijian Army and New Zealand Defence Force for their physical support, but more the morale-boosting attitude that they brought with them as they lived in our community, Unison for sending crews on helicopters to get our power restored and becoming part of our community, and Rural Support Trust for always being there and providing support to those that need it the most with limited resource and funding. But most importantly, thank you to those that are actually in our community. Everyone dug in and supported one another, and we are extremely blessed to have the people we have in our rural communities. But the work is far from over. Many farmers and growers have a long road to recovery ahead of them to reinstate hundreds of thousands of dollars per farm on lost fences, tracks, culverts, crops, stock and more. The lack of funding has been difficult, but we are lucky that everything is fixable. Perfection is not a priority, and we will rebuild in time. And finally, a sincere thank you to all of the farmers and growers who wake up each day, step outside onto their land, see a big job in front of them, but they get out and do the mahi because they are passionate about what they do. And without farmers and growers, there'd be no food on your table, and the primary sector is extremely important to our regional economy. Kia kaha Hawke's Bay, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā tātou katoa. Thank you.
As we have looked to the past year, we now consider the future and ongoing recovery of Here Taonga Hastings. With this in mind, we now welcome our final speaker, the Honourable Mark Mitchell, the Minister for Emergency Management and Recovery. Following Minister Mitchell's address, we will be led by Ambassador of Hastings, Henare O'Keefe, as we stand together to sing the national anthem, God Defend New Zealand. Following the national anthem, the closing benediction will then be given by Reverend Zane. Nau mai, Minister Mitchell.
Tēnā tātou katoa. Namaste. Salam alaikum. Good afternoon, everyone. It's a huge privilege for me to be here with you today on such a special day. Hanari, can I acknowledge you, Reverends, your worship. I think your speech was beautiful, and it captured the feeling and the emotion of what everyone has experienced and gone through in the last 12 months. And it's an honour to be here with you today. Baden, can I acknowledge you and the outstanding response from iwi, from Tairāwhiti through Wairoa down to the Hawke's Bay, and the way that you mobilised, the way that Marae did so much to support, especially in those initial hours as Cyclone Gabrielle hit. And if I can just one of my own personal thoughts is arriving in Wairoa 2 days after Gabrielle had come through and meeting with Denise, the deputy mayor there, whose house had 3 feet of silt through it, and she was busy had opened the local Marae as a command and control centre. The farmers had come into town, they'd hooked trailers onto their tractors, and they had gone around the houses that were surrounded by water and rescued people out of their homes. When I came back down to the East Valley, I bumped into 2 contractors from New Plymouth that with their sons had loaded up as much fuel as they could. They'd put their equipment on trailers, they'd driven over to the Hawke's Bay. They'd found out where they thought they could contribute the best, which was the East Valley, and they just got on with it. They were sleeping in their trucks. They worked until the fuel ran out, and they got back in their vehicles and they drove back to New Plymouth. They didn't ask for any acknowledgement, they didn't ask for any thanks. They just wanted to deploy and be here because they realised what you were facing. They realised the devastation, the size of the devastation. They wanted to be here to support you. Commissioner Costa, can I acknowledge you and your police team? Can I acknowledge all of our first responders? Police, FENS, Surf Lifesavers, St John's, even corrections, who often go unnoticed, but actually were dealing with their own crisis and trying to make sure their people were okay and also that the community was safe. I remember getting calls from Surf Lifesavers here 3 days in, saying that they were just deeply fatigued. Some of them hadn't even been home to check on their own families. And a lot of our first responders were out there supporting their community, having faced devastation themselves. Can I acknowledge our rural community? It was obvious by the emotion in the previous address just how hard our rural community has been hit and how you've rallied and come together. I had a prepared speech and I've gone, I haven't even looked at that. I'm conscious of how hot it is, and I think that it's actually special for us today to actually have a day like today when you think about what you faced a year ago. I make a commitment to you in my new role with emergency management and also recovery The rest of New Zealand has not forgotten you. They are very aware and very sensitive to what you've faced. We know that it's not over. We know that there's still a lot of work to do. And I make a commitment to you that we stand by you, we stand with you, and we will continue to make sure that we drive forward with this recovery. Thank you very much.
You too.
God of nations, at thy feet, in the bonds of love we be. Hear our voices, we enter in. God defend our free land. God Pacific triple stars from the shafts of strife and war. Make her praises heard afar. God defend you love this country.
Ka pai tēnā tātou te whānau. Well, whānau, as we bring to a close our commemoration service today, I just want to thank our Mayor for bringing us all together today, bringing all of our communities together, bringing our iwi together, all of our whānau, to commemorate this most special day, a day in which we can not only remember those tragic events, but remember the response, a response of aroha and a recovery of aroha. Whānau, our people are a people of tikanga, a tikanga deeply rooted in this thing which is aroha, which is giving of yourself to others and giving everything you have. So te whānau, as we continue in our recovery, may aroha be your tikanga in which you live. May aroha be the source of power in which we rebuild, in which we rejuvenate our communities. And so te whānau, may that aroha, the aroha of our loving God, rest upon us all. The aroha of one another rest upon us all. And so te whānau, as we say our final karakia today, I wish to hold in our hearts our whānau pani, those of whānau members who have lost loved ones since Cyclone Gabrielle, from Cyclone Gabrielle. So we especially hold you in our karakia, nā inoi this day and in the many, many years ahead. Anō reire te whānau ke inoi tātou. Mā te atua o mātou matua, tupuna mā te māria te atua, e kore nei e tae te whakaaro. E tiaki o koutou nāko, o koutou heninaro e roto e kaiti ihu. A kia mau, kia uhuki kia koutou te manaki a te atua kaharawa, a te matua, a te tama, a te wairua tapu. O tira ihua kei te inoi mātou mo ngā whānau pani. E ihua manaki tia maira rātou, o tira rahina rātou I tēnei rā, o tira moa ki tunu atu. E ihua tuko mai ki tēnei takiwa, tuko mai ki a mātou nei rangatira taukaha, tau wairua whakore I tēnei wā. No reire ihua ke te inoi mātou wēnei me runga I taunga tapu, o tira ki atau, ki a tātou katoa. Te ata whai o tō tātou āreki a ihu karaiti, me te aroha o te atua, me te whiwhina taitanga ki te wairua tapu, ake. Amen. Whānau, please turn to your neighbour and say, let love be your tikanga.
Ka whati te ti, ka wana te ti, ka rito te ti, kia mau te mau mahara. When the cabbage tree is broken, it builds inner strength and sprouts forth new life. As you depart today, a waiata titled Gabrielle by local artist Bede Ashby will play in the background. In his own words, the song Gabrielle came to me very quickly. Flying out of Napier on the Thursday after Gabrielle, all the passengers were holding their breath, with hands on hearts or gasping at the magnitude of the destruction and vast amounts of water. The plane ride was the quietest ever experienced as people contemplated the scenes they were viewing. The only patch of green were the fields of St. Joseph's Māori Girls' College. As I looked at their reactions, the thought, "This is my home and these are my people," popped into my head, which became the opening line, "It's my people, it's my home," and the rest of the song just flowed. Thank you for being here today. Kia tau te rangi Māria, kia koutou katoa. Peace be with you all.
It's my people, it's my home. Life's changed, life's gone. Hawks fly high over gouged earth. All they see is silk and place few